Disclaimer: violence is never okay. While I don't believe in a hell, I believe that there are very real spiritual consequences to hate and even hateful words. Let's get to the video.
But if you already know, how can I make a choice?
Because you didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made it. You're here to try to understand why you made it.
All right. So I'll briefly give a general backstory to those who may not be aware of who Charlie Kirk is. Charlie Kirk was a Christian nationalist, fundamentalist, and he was an activist. He went around frequently and for a long time as debated in multiple occasions in multiple arenas and different locations for his religious beliefs. But those particular religious beliefs tend to be very anti. And what I mean by anti was that he was anti-LGBTQ, anti-trans in particular. He was very anti-trans. Is also racist. So here's some of the rhetoric that I'm going to play for you, and you'll get an idea, a sense of the words that were coming out of his mouth.
The Civil Rights Act, though, let's be clear, created a beast, and that beast has now turned into an anti-white weapon.
And the word empathy, actually, I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every.
Yeah. So in my mind, I feel like this is not a particularly good person. Now, I could imagine that him being a Christian and knowing the words of Jesus Christ and the example that Jesus Christ gave, I'm sure that he was probably kind and very religious and kind to people that he thought deserved it. But probably to those who were not necessarily in his camp, who weren't Christian or weren't believers, probably didn't get that same treatment. It's interesting that a lot of Christians, not all, but a lot, tend to be very selective about who their Christian kindness and compassion extends to. So, as for the alleged shooter, he listened to Charlie Kirk's rhetoric, his nasty bile, and literally believed and felt threatened by Charlie Kirk's words. Right now, it's a little too early in the game to know exactly who this alleged shooter was. Some believe that he, was a MAGA supporter, Trump supporter, and so on. Others believe that he was Antifa or, anti-fascist, and, so on and so on. There's lots of conspiracy theories out right now. But what is clear is that he took to heart Charlie Kirk's words and felt threatened by them. And I couldn't, no telling which ones or, what exactly was the triggering point for this particular person, this alleged shooter, to decide to, go so far. But instead of ignoring him like most of us do, that, don't believe, him, or, don't believe in his, Charlie Kirk's bull crap, this person decided to take matters into his own hand. So much so that Charlie Kirk got himself shot because of his own words. So there's some irony for you. But it does go to show the first lesson here that to learn is that what you say has consequences. Now, as a few days ago of this recording, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. They're dubbing it a political assassination, in which it was. He was assassinated for his political beliefs. Just as a quick word, be on the lookout for my next video where I discuss Christian nationalism and the reason why it is never appropriate to commit hate and acts of violence because of religion. So I'll go into that. But this is the this is the state that we're in right now as a country, here in the United States, that there are some people that believe so strongly and take to heart so strongly what people say that they are ready to commit acts of violence. And this is on all sides. This isn't just one party or one political group over the other. There are going to be far extremes in each camp. Knowing this, this is why it is very important that what we say is not inflammatory. It's not vitriol. In other words, it doesn't cause people to want to commit violence, you know. But religion has that effect on people. So let's look a little deeper, though. Let's kind of open the hood now and explore some real juicy spiritual nuggets and tidbits that I think you're going to like. Some of you may not like it, but, you know, some of you might. Hate, anger, even jealousy are powerful emotions, and you combine that with thought, right? Thought becomes things. Therefore, thoughts have space and time. They take up space and time in reality. Space and time have gravity, right? This is to say that when you put so much emotion behind thoughts, you attract much more of that same emotion. All right. Basic law of attraction. And what is law of attraction? It's basically the New Age way of saying like attracts like. Okay. The universe quite literally gives you more of what you're putting out. Garbage in, garbage out. Positivity in, positivity comes back around. Okay. Hate, anger, they stem from fear. So the human instinct is to react in fear, or in the case of recent events, in this case, to resort to violence. Now, here's the juicy tidbit of what's going on. When two or more parties are engaged in violence against each other, a time loop is then created. Okay? This time loop acts as a black hole in your spiritual karma. What does that mean? In other words, this becomes a very heavy anchor keeping you tethered to this earth. It's the universe's way of saying, hey, pay attention to this because there's a lesson here. And when you have that much emotion and powerful emotion behind acts of violence, it is definitely going to be a blimp in the spiritual radar of all parties that are involved. Okay? So, the universe, or in other words, God, will not let you gloss over these violent acts until one or more parties clears it energetically. Someone is going to have to clean up the mess. A mess is created between two or more people. One or more is going to have to clean it up. And this is a reality that we are in, and this is a spiritual reality. It must be healed. This is what happens within, and this is what happens on earth as it is in heaven. If you commit an act of violence, you commit an act of whatever causes trauma or maybe causes some kind of PTSD, whatever it is that happened that you do to another person or someone has done to you, is going to create a very heavy weight within your heart. And until this particular heavy weight, this black hole, in other words, is cleared, you won't heal. You can't. If you move on in this life, let's say you move on, something happened, and you never really forgiven yourself or healed yourself energetically of this particular event, let's say an act of violence in the case of Charlie Kirk and his assassination, and you haven't cleared this event, one, would cause you to come back over and over again to repeat said event until you're able to clear it. This is what loosely what we would term karma, and when you haven't cleared karma, you're going to have to come back to this lifetime or a similar lifetime to face it. This is why it's a time loop. Passing away will not let you escape from it. You'll just come back in another life and deal with the same thing. Okay? It is not because God will judge you. It is because your higher self will judge you. Your own heart will judge you. And that your heart will ache because of the negativity that has formed either through events that you caused or events that were caused against you. Right? Because it hasn't been cleared energetically. The lesson has not been learned, in other words. And this is why we're here on Earth. We're here on this Earth to learn energetically and spiritually, physically, to learn these lessons and heal them. As I said, you have to clean up your own mess. And we are given the free will. We have the free will to come to this earth, and we make as many messes as we want to make. And some of them we have to clean up. All right. So let's explore how we do that. How something as dramatic as a violent act happens against you, or you commit a violent act against someone. How does then one clear that from your spiritual, self? How do you clear it energetically? And the way that you go about doing it is self-forgiveness. Now, that's an interesting term because, and there's a lot to it, and I'm going to go into it. Self-forgiveness is what you do. It's not asking for forgiveness from someone else. Oh no, that's not how this works. Despite conventional wisdom. And in the past we've taught that we have to say we're sorry to someone. But let's take a step back. I'll get into that, but let's take a step back. And let me first say that self-forgiveness cannot be achieved hardly without while the emotions are still fresh. So if whatever event happened and it's still fresh, it's still recent, you need to allow for time to distance yourself from the feelings and the emotions. Okay? When you're still fresh and feeling, it's still raw. It's going to be really hard to conduct the process of self-forgiveness, let alone forgiving someone else, but self-forgiveness, because it's too recent. So allow yourself some time to process the emotions, to process what's going on, so that you can get to a point where you're settled. So this is how you forgive yourself, and it's gonna involve a technique, a breathing meditation technique, to begin and facilitate the process of being able to forgive yourself. Okay? This is going to be a very powerful technique, so it's very important that you listen very carefully, because the meditation technique will help. It's not a cure, but it's going to help you develop and achieve detachment from your emotions, right? And that's going to be very important in this process. Meditation is best done in a place with as little distraction as possible, as quiet as possible. So that's going to be important. But I would say before you start this meditation technique, which I'm going to go into here in a minute and go step by step, it's very important to set your intention. I cannot stress this enough. When you clear your mind in an act of meditation, you become a receiver for all kinds of transmissions and communications from the spiritual realm. Okay? Understand that. So by setting your attention before you meditate to that you're not going to allow any communication in or out. Okay? So that nothing is coming in, nothing's coming out. And this is going to best facilitate a process where you can self-forgive. All right, so this requires no outside interaction, save for your own heart. All right, you don't need anybody else in the room. This is just between you and yourself. So here's the technique. Bear with me. You can do it at your home while you're listening to me, and then you can do this on your own once you've learned how to do this process. So first thing I want you to do after you have cleared your mind, after you've set your intention of no communication, no distraction, close your eyes. Okay? And then what I want you to do is focus on your breath. Inhaling, exhaling. Every breath that you take is going to be different. There's going to be different sounds that your nostrils make as the air flows in and out, and focus on that particular sensation. Focus on those things. Alternatively, if you have the air condition on, focus on the air condition. Listen to the air condition, the different sounds it makes, if it rattles or if it makes noises. Hear every little thing that air condition makes as you're breathing in, as you're breathing out, as you're noticing your breath in and as your breath out. Okay? So the next thing I want you to do as you're doing this breathing technique and as you're listening to your surroundings, the point of this is to clear your mind. And what I want you to do as you do this consistently, as you keep doing it for a few minutes, you'll notice that as your mind begins to quiet, then your heart begins to still, you'll notice that thoughts will creep in. And what I want you to do, as soon as one of those thoughts come into your mind, you zap it. Nope, no more. Zap it out. If an emotion comes up, a thought comes in that causes an emotion, zap it. Stop. No more. Continue to breathe. Inhale, exhale. Focus on the breath. If a thought comes in, zap it out, delete it. In other words, and continue to focus in on that breath, and do this consistently, stopping any thought that comes into your mind. And you'll notice as you keep doing this, you'll begin to settle. Your mind is cleared. Your emotions are cleared. And at this point is where I want you to say something and repeat after me. You can write this down. If you're just following along, go ahead and write it down, because you'll want to say this from your heart and from your mind as you're doing this technique. I forgive myself for allowing myself to feel anger towards this person. From here on, no more. All right? The first part of that is I forgive myself for allowing myself to commit an act of violence towards this person, feel anger towards this person, to hit this person, whatever. Okay? So now I want you to listen now. You can stop. Don't fall asleep on me. So wake up and listen to what just happened here. All right. The first part of that statement is that I forgive myself for allowing myself. This is very important to understand, because what it's saying is that it literally means that you've taken ownership of whatever it is that you're trying to clear energetically. Ultra, ultra, ultra important. This is because even if someone else committed an act against you, an offense against you, does not mean that they're the ones that have to ask for forgiveness. Oh no. That's not how this works. That would mean that they have the power over you. Get it? True forgiveness comes from within and is never contingent upon another person. I guarantee you, and I've seen this time and time and time again, that there are one or more people are involved in a dramatic act. Someone committed an act of violence. Someone did something to other people, to someone or to other people, and years later after said event, one or more persons will have processed their pain and trauma and will have moved on, while the others do not. And they're still going on 10, 20, 30 years from said event and have not cleared and not forgiven themselves for the said event. But the other person's already moved on and has already been set free. Now, how does that work when neither party has said a word to each other, ever, since the said event? You know what that means is because forgiveness is not contingent upon someone else outside of you. Forgiveness comes from within. Okay? Because now these people that haven't moved on is because they're so tied up in their hate for the other person that they just can't forgive them. They cannot let it go. And they think that forgiveness is their problem, not yours, not their problem. And nothing can be further from the truth. In this, they have given away their power to that other person, and they will never heal. How do you take your power back? Without forgiving yourself, you'll never let go, you'll never heal, and you'll be right back here, one way or another, over and over again, in and out of the trauma, in and out of the same pain, in and out even lifetimes, again and again, one lifetime after the other, until you face in yourself and heal that which needs to be healed, and get clear with whatever it is that has troubled you. Okay? I forgive myself for allowing myself to have anger towards this other person. From here, no more. To hear no further. In this, you have taken ownership of your own feelings. You forgive the actions of both you and the other persons from within. Right? Now, you have taken the power from them. You have taken your power back. You see how powerful it is? When you have taken the power from someone and say, I forgive myself, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I'm done. I give it back. I mean, not your power, but I give said event, said feeling of trauma, issue, pain, whatever, and I leave it alone. From here to here, no further, no more. You are done with the pain and the drama. And the end statement of that is to say, from here no further, that, this is a statement that these feelings of trauma, the pain, stops here. And you're letting the universe know, you're letting your own heart know, your own subconscious know, that this is done. So that's why you say the whole thing, I forgive myself for allowing myself to feel or do or said whatever it is, and from here no more. Okay. Stay tuned. I have other videos where I explore what's going on in the spiritual background for Christian nationalists and what that entails spiritually in the spiritual realm. What we just went through, and I used the Charlie Kirk incident and his political assassination as an example of things that can happen to people that are very traumatic. And it's very important that you take your power back, and you can do this through self-forgiveness. You can do it right now, and you can begin that process of clearing it energetically within your own heart. And what that means is that when you clear something and you heal something, not only is it healed on earth within you, it is healed in heaven. Well, what does that mean, Jamie? What does it mean that it's, Uncle James, what does that mean that it's healed in heaven? Well, when you heal something like that dramatic, other people that come along that have to or have chosen to endure something very similar, from then on that point, it becomes easier for them because you have laid the groundwork for clearing such trauma. And now other people can come on to experience this event, that said event, right? Not only for the purpose of having to deal with that pain and trauma, but then being able to clear it energetically much more quickly so that they can experience the love and the joy and the freedom that much more keenly. Okay? So I hope that in this video that you learned something insightful. If you do, please leave a like and a subscribe for me. That would be much appreciated. And to conclude, and I say this a lot, I know I don't have any physical or verifiable evidence or proof of my beliefs. Conversely, neither does anyone else, right? It's a pickle, no doubt about it. Who do we believe? What do we believe? Do you believe what I say or what somebody else says? And it's going to be up to you whether or not you're going to believe or listen to anything that I have to say. You're just going to have to make up your own damn mind.